in Suez for you.
Clashes erupt in Suez after an Egyptian court released 14 policemen on bail. They're accused of killing protesters in the revolution that brought down the Mubarak regime. Not everyone likes our presence here. One man even kicking our camera. Among the protesters, Ali Al-Ghanadi, who says his son, 24-year-old Islam, was killed by police, shot on the family's balcony while giving water to protesters. Nothing has changed whatsoever in Egypt, he says. Corruption continues, police brutality continues. Nothing really has changed at all.
This is the balcony where Islam was shot. You can still see the bullet holes here in the wall, but the perceived continued lack of accountability of the police force here in this country is only one of the many things that's angering people and making them frustrated with the momentum of the revolution.
Egypt's Interior Ministry has announced a reform of the police and says it wants to purge the force of police officers involved in violence against demonstrators. But clashes erupted last Tuesday, leaving more than 1,000 injured when protesters say police blocked families of those killed in the uprising from attending a memorial service. The discontent in post-Mubarak Egypt, however, runs deeper. A faltering economy, massive unemployment, security concerns, and a feeling that the military council, which is currently governing the country, is dragging its feet, implementing democratic and social reforms, are causing people to take to the streets. It was almost 5 months ago that the protesters in Cairo's Tahrir Square toppled Hosni Mubarak after almost 30 years in power. People must begin to feel the benefits of democracy soon, warns presidential candidate and former head of the Arab League, Amr Moussa.
We are not in a good situation, and therefore we will have to address this issue very quickly. But I believe that the most important thing for us is to move quickly to build the new system in Egypt.
Politicians speak of economic progress and social justice, but at this cafe in Suez, people say they've seen no improvement in their situation since Mubarak was toppled. Still, Ahmed Karib, who says he was beaten so badly by police during the uprising that he lost his vision, tells us it was worth it. The revolution is still going on the right track, he says, but no one is helping us or giving us a hand. Those who brought about change in Egypt have waited almost half a year for their sacrifices to pay dividends, and many say their patience is running thin. Fred Blyken, CNN, Suez, Egypt.
Well, another of Egypt's presidential candidates, Suez El Baredei, says what the country needs is a Bill of Rights that would become the core of a new constitution. Now, he, of course, is the UN's former nuclear chief, and he's drafted a Bill of Rights for public debate. It guarantees equality for all, as well as freedom of expression and religion, the right to gather peacefully, and the right to privacy. Well, the bill also codifies Islam as Egypt's official religion and Sharia law as one of the main sources of legislation. Well, earlier I talked with El Baredei, asking him what challenges lie ahead for his country.
Well, there's a lot of challenges. There are, Becky, of course, unrealistic expectation. People feel, you know, after 60 years of repression that they would like to see an opportunity to have a job, to have a basic, decent life, good education, health care, what have you. And that obviously is going to take time. There is a whole question of retribution. How far can you go to purge the old regime?
There are those who say that Egypt would actually be better off with Mubarak back in power. What do you say to those people?
No, I think that's bogus. I mean, Egypt, you know, has been going down the drain in every respect. We have 40% living under $2 a day. After 30 years of Mubarak reign, we have 30% illiterates. After every revolution or every uprising, Becky, there is a bumpy road. And we philosophically, we know, or historically, we know it will take a year or two, but definitely there is no going back. At least people now are still poor, but they are free. I mean, you see different Egyptians right now. I mean, the fact that they can go by the millions in the streets to demonstrate and demonstrate peacefully, it's a fantastic feeling. It's a feeling that they're being empowered. They haven't yet translated this sense of freedom into and manage it properly. Well, that will take some time, but But there is nothing like being free and nothing like being empowered and move into, hopefully, Egypt that is based on some sort of social justice. There is an obscene gap, as you know, Becky, between the rich and the poor here. And if a continuation of Mubarak regime would have led to a clear explosion, the kind of thing we saw in Libya, and we are lucky that we have avoided that.
Social justice is something that the Muslim Brotherhood, of course, talk about as an Islamist group. That, to a certain extent, is quite surprising. You've been very measured about the way that you have dealt and talked about the Islamist groups in Egypt. Other people will say they see an increasing divide, a sectarian divide in Egypt. Are you concerned about that?
Yeah, I am concerned about that somewhat, and that's why, again, because we are not yet in a process where we are managing the transition, but there is a kind of polarization between the so-called Islamist group and maybe the rest of the Muslims, and also with the Christian, the Copts. But I think that is just still, the outcome of moving from 60 years of repression. There's a lot of aggression coming out, and many people are wrapping themselves around around religion as a way to express frustration, to express aggression. We need to work hard to make sure that under the new constitution, under the Bill of Rights, you can believe in whatever you want to believe in. You have freedom of religion, but everybody should have the same basic rights, and these are absolutely linked to the human dignity that each one of us should have.
You make a lot of sense. Briefly, are you being naive?
I don't think I'm being naive. I think looking around at many of the revolutions in Eastern Europe, in Latin America, they have gone through the same process in Indonesia and in many other places.
Mohammed El Baredei speaking to me earlier. The picture in Egypt today. You're watching Connect the World. This is CNN. It's 9:30.